I fixed
All
it.
righty. Tonight on the Buddy Martin Show, it's Tell It Like It Is Tuesday with special guest David Whitley of the Gainesville Sun, Rob Brown of SEC Sideline, an exclusive interview with Gerard Warren and Layla Reynolds of Gators women's basketball. All that and a lot more on the Tuesday edition of the Buddy Martin Show.
Taco Tuesday.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin.
Come on, baby.
Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday night edition of the Buddy Martin Show. I'm your host, Loren Meadows, and tonight we've got a great show. We have David Whitley of the Gainesville Sun, Rob Brown of SEC Sidelines, and a little later we'll be joined by Gerard Warren and Layla Reynolds of Florida Women's Basketball. But before we get started, good evening, gentlemen. And we're joined by Rob Brown, David Whitley, and our executive producer, Brendan Martin. And before we get started, guys, I want to send a couple shout outs and prayers to the family of Franz Beard. His stepfather's not doing too well. Franz is dealing with that now, so we want to pray for Franz and his family. Also, John Brantley, great Gator linebacker. Scott Brantley, the brother of John Brantley. Scott Brantley's also dealing with some issues and. A lot of people don't necessarily know about Scott Brantley, but arguably the best defensive football player ever in the history of Florida football. Great linebacker, played some years in the NFL, and just been dealing with some health issues lately. So from what I understand, maybe some rehab involved and things like that. So prayers to Scott as well. And then a shout out to Ricky Pearsall, who we all know made it back to the field this weekend, and had a tough situation. Robbery attempt, was shot. Lucky to be alive, and so for that young man to make it back to the field and participate and achieve his dream of being an NFL player, know the family extremely well. Great family, great young man, and just pleased to have him on the field and great for him. So before we get started, definitely want to just mention all those gentlemen and their families, and just prayers answered and prayers going up for all of them. So how you guys doing tonight?
Oh, I'm good.
All right, good. Yeah. We'll come back to you girls in about 20 minutes. How you guys doing? Good. So gentlemen, had a little game this weekend, huh?
It was quite a game, no doubt. You mentioned Scott Brantley, as you said. If anybody wants to see the hardest hit ever delivered on a football field, Google Scott Brantley and Eric Hipple, Tampa Bay Bucks versus Detroit Lions, and you will see Eric Hipple. Scott Brantley would be charged with manslaughter these days. Yeah. It was unbelievable.
Right.
He was. This is a guy who was born to be a football player and born to be a linebacker. And nobody has played it better. And if people don't know his story, he was like the early warning sign of concussions. Had to actually stop his career at Florida, quit, but then came back in the NFL, played long and an illustrious career. Unfortunately, it takes a price on a guy.
Yeah, it definitely. Like I said, it's a game of kings played by savages, and the game could take a toll on a lot of people, whether you play in the NFL or college. Even there's even some guys that just played high school that are dealing with some of those things. And like you said, Scott is definitely somebody who's revered by Gator fans and really SEC fans if you've been following this league for a long time. So, most definitely somebody who left it on the field and, just and I know, Rob, you probably remember Scott as well.
No, Florida had a lot of tradition before. I mean, we were talking last week in the 50s, you had Bob Woodruff for 10 years, Ray Graves in the 60s. The first 9 years of the 70s, Doug Dickey. So a lot of history before that. And people forget that, but I think it's cool to go back and talk about these players that places were great long before any of them got there. And that's the cool part. I think the more you know about your history, the bigger fan you are.
Right. Well, it's amazing. I see Scott. I'm a member of the Ocala Quarterback Club, and I get to see Scott every Wednesday. And even when I walk past him, just kind of tap him on the shoulder, it's like, that's Scott Brantley, And even though I'm not from, Florida, but I've been a fan long enough and studied the history, it's like that's Scott Brantley, like that's a thing. And so, but. Speaking of hard hitting and tackling, we saw a little bit this weekend with the Florida Gators, 48-20, resounding win. Saw a little bit of everything. Saw some good defense, some explosive offense, some short yardage stops that it had kind of been missing, and a few turnovers. And I mean, were you surprised, Mr. Whitley, by the performance of the Gators? I know we talked a little bit at halftime, and it was kind of like, well, will they keep the pressure on? What's going on? But, I mean, I thought we really started to see a team that, I mean, they're playing better. You got to give them credit for that. Will this be, I don't want to get into, at this point, I'm tired of talking about who may be next or what's going to happen. But here and now for 1 week, the Florida Gators look like, they continue to look like they're trying to improve as a football team.
Yeah, I was surprised just because I think everybody figured it would be one of those 21-17 games. And in that offense, boom, boom, boom. I mean, there were more big plays in that game than I think we've seen in the last year and a half. It feels like, and it, whatever else you think about DJ Lagway, kid throws a beautiful deep pass for, already. And, conversely, nobody's going to mistake Kentucky's offense for the 49ers or anything like that. But, in Florida's defense, whatever they did in that open week, it's not a mirage. I mean, they held Tennessee in check and did the same to Kentucky. And again, Tennessee is not the high flying offense it has been known to be, but still, when you shut them out in the first half and like you said, the thing that was really impressive is the fourth down stops they made and getting 3 turns. I mean, they had 3 interceptions all last year and had 3 the other night.
Right. Yeah, they're up to 6 already. So doubling the total with 5 games to go. So, and I think that on defense, and I think that's where you got to look at this team. We knew what DJ Lagway was. I think we knew Jaden Bye has played enough football. It wasn't really a surprise. But outside of the offensive line moving what some thought was at least one of the top 2 or 3 defensive lines with Kentucky, I think defensively they're looks like they're trying to simplify what they're doing. Seems like they're getting lined up. Their alignments are better. And then that allows them, I think, to play with a little bit more ferocity, get to the football. And, maybe that is like you kind of prognosticated a little earlier, Rob, is that the Ron Roberts effect of just saying, hey, maybe, what we want to do isn't working for us. So let's just settle in, play a little football, go with a few pressures, but not a lot of exotic stuff. And play good coverage. We got 2 NFL corners. We got, 2 guys playing fairly decent at safety. We got great linebackers, and we're okay up front. But let's just sit in it, not be vanilla, but be basic and, just get after it. Is that, what do you think?
Well, his defense has always been called the creeper defense, and it's designed to blow up RPOs and disrupt their timing, their rhythm. And that's what he's starting to do. But it typically takes about a year and a half to fully install a defense. And so you're getting after 7 games, you're starting to see some results on that. Tennessee, what Florida did against Tennessee was pretty damn amazing. Ellis Johnson is on the show with us on Mondays. He's been coaching defense a long time. And he points out Tennessee under Heupel, that offense is predicated on the deep ball. That opens everything up. If they can't get it, it's chaos for Tennessee. Tennessee's now had 3 straight games where they failed to score a point in the first half. They hadn't done that since the late 60s. But I think Florida, and I'm reading the comments of the viewers here, and you got to listen and you got to pay attention. Perry Mason, Billy's busted his ass to try to turn this thing around. And here it is. Florida's at 4-3. And then you look at that schedule. What did we say all preseason? Not all of these teams that you expect to be so good are going to be that good. One of these doesn't look like the others, the Sesame Street deal. That's the Florida State Seminoles. They are absolutely horrible. You know how many games Mike Norvell has won without Jordan Travis as his quarterback at Florida State? 3. 6 times in the last 8 years, Florida State has lost 6 or more games. I think they need to shut their mouths about, the ACC has to have us. They better hope the ACC doesn't kick them to the curb. I know that's not going to happen, but you better be careful what you ask for. But I think Florida, it's really interesting. They always have athletes. And I mean, that game, and both of y'all know Lagway really well. That guy is special.
Yeah, I mean, he's a star.
Really elite. He is one of those guys that you could parachute in from Uranus or Jupiter, and no, that's a great college football player. Mm-hmm. And the more reps he gets, he's just going to get that. He throws a football like he's throwing a grapefruit. His hands are so big. He's different, and you know it when you see him.
Well, you can't teach that throw to Eugene Wilson, but in full respect to the defense too. I mean, I think that Dane Key and Barian Brown, I mean, they're definitely going to play on Sundays, and they may be the best tandem of receivers, in the conference. I mean, you got Trey Harris and a couple of guys from Ole Miss. They're pretty good too, and we'll get to see them. But I think, I know Brock Vandagriff hadn't been the best, but just the way they were able to keep that, like I said, I think 2 things stood out. The way they were able to just keep that running game and keep those receivers in check, and then the way they were able to run the football. And I think before you had an offensive line that was a little bit, maligned, and a lot of people had a lot to say, but this group seems to be starting to come into their own. And Montrell Johnson, I think, would have had the same kind of game that Ba had. I mean, Ba was impressive, but I think you'd have just had a 3-headed snake going at him if Webb, Ba, and Montrell would have been there. Mm-hmm. And they really would have been able to move the football. I mean, no doubt, Mr. Whitley, I think that, that's what impressed me. If you talk about on offense, I mean, we know what we're getting from DJ Lagway, but the way that offensive line was able to play and get to the next level against, Dumas Johnson and Derek King and those guys, I mean, they were able, and JJ Weaver, they were able to actually get to the next level and move those guys and run the football effectively.
Yeah, I mean, that I think was the biggest surprise is how that offensive line did handle, as you said, a pretty well-regarded defensive front. And that's been the weakness, I think, for the last year and a half since Osiris Torrance left.
Right.
Offensive line has just been mediocre at best, a nice way to put it. Some good play, but you're just always holding your breath on every play, waiting for the sack or the holding penalty, or just not making any holes for the runners to run through. And so they were looking better against UCF, Mississippi State, but but those aren't considered top-notch defense. These last 2 defenses they've played are pretty good, and to be able to control the ball, and that has made life a lot easier. That getting in running tech for DJ Lagway, when teams can't just stack the box and say, "Oh, you try to beat us, it ain't going to happen." You're there, so that they seem to be gelling at the right time, and it's been like 2 weeks now since we made a joke about, hey, why does Florida have 2 offensive line coaches?
Right. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's one of those things, and we'll touch on the game, a little later, and just where the Gators go kind of towards the end of the show. But we want to tell you about our sponsor, Titan MRI, Gainesville's newest MRI facility, serving Gainesville, Lake City, and surrounding areas. Like we said before, it's just one of the new facilities kind of moving to where healthcare is going, making the patient feel comfortable. They have the larger MRI machines. They will take they'll get in, give you an MRI, no insurance, no problem. And if you have insurance, you can go there as well. But Titan MRI, Gainesville and Lake City's latest MRI facility. So with that, I think we're going to go to our special guest, the pride of PG County and Lake Charles, Louisiana. We have Layla Reynolds and Gerard Warren. How you guys doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good. You're on with Mr. David Whitley of the Gainesville Sun and Rob Brown of SEC Sidelines. So, we'll jump right into it. I know you guys just got back from media days and just tell us about that experience and maybe a little bit about yourselves as well. I think that, you got a lot of Gator fans that on this show, I mean, we talk a lot of football, but they're Gators through and through. So they like every sport. And you guys are on the cusp of really doing something special, coming off a historic SEC tournament run. You can see the picture behind me that I took when we were in Greenville, and you guys, coming off 3 straight winning seasons for the second time in school history. I mean, I think you guys are in a great place. And, so just speak to us about media days and maybe just tell us a little bit about yourselves, introduce yourselves to the Gator fans.
I'm Jariah. I'm a senior from Louisiana. My major is criminology.
Okay. And former Louisiana State Player of the Year, scored over 1,500 points in high school. Don't be bashful. And Layla?
I'm Layla Reynolds. I'm from Prince George's County, Maryland. I'm a sophomore, and I'm majoring in family, youth, and community sciences.
All right. And Layla is one of 3 McDonald's All-Americans that Coach Finley has brought onto the team, along with freshman Liv McGill and Miara O'Neal, which you guys may know the last name, the daughter of Shaquille O'Neal. But from what I understand, she doesn't shoot free throws like Shaq. She can actually shoot free throws. But no, so, I mean, at this point, guys, I mean, you guys are in the preseason, and from what I understand, I don't want to talk about what and who, but there was a really good scrimmage this past weekend, and you guys had a lot to build on, and you two both have been called on by Coach Kelly Ray Finley to take more of an assertive role. And, from what I see, you both have kind of embraced that role and watching practice and things like that. But just, Gerard, you, for instance, I mean, you kind of been a defensive stopper, but what does it mean now that you've kind of been called upon to take more of an assertive offensive role?
It means everything to me. Just seeing my role expand. I know that I've been putting in a lot of work this off season, so seeing that put into play, I'm excited.
And Layla, you as well. I know Coach Finley mentioned you at media days, talking about you think you're more of a distributor, but she needs you to do some playmaking as well. And I know in your sophomore year, kind of last year, you were the only freshman basically on the squad, but now you've kind of moved into a role where you started pretty much the whole season, made freshman all SEC. What does it mean now to take the next step?
It means everything, just to be able to, like Jariah said, expand my role, know that all my hard work is paying off, and just knowing the hours that I put in the gym, it's all coming to work now.
And what do you think you guys have improved on the most to take that next step? What's the thing you concentrate on the most?
This offseason, I've really been working on my shot, being consistent, making sure that my form is right, and working on my ball handling too. Yeah, I would say the same with my shot, just being able to get my shots off more first, and then just working on a quick release. So
okay. Now back to media days. I want to ask that I saw a clip that they asked somebody if Coach Kelly could get a bucket on them. And I don't know if they asked you both, but I'm gonna ask you both. So, Gerard, you know, Coach Finley played a little basketball back in the day. I mean, she's not even 40 yet. You don't think she could get a? I mean, you said a resounding no that Coach Kelly couldn't get a bucket. I mean, you really don't think a former Division I athlete could get a bucket? I haven't seen her shoot lately, but I would guess she could still get. I don't know.
I don't think my answer is ever going to change. I'm still going to say no. Yeah. It's all love.
Really? Okay. What about you, Layla? You think Coach Kelly could get a bucket?
No.
No.
Not on me.
Not at all?
No.
I mean, she was a pretty good player back in the day.
Yeah, she might beat me in a shooting competition or something.
Okay.
Or something.
All right. Mr. Whitley, you got a question for the ladies? Or
yeah, neither one of y'all would be considered naturally drawn to Florida because you're from Louisiana and Maryland, as you say. What attracted you here? I mean, what was the sales pitch that Kelly Ray made to y'all to come to Gainesville?
I would say Kelly as a coach first, most definitely. Who she is, just being around the coaching staff and how they recruited me. And it wasn't really a sales pitch. I just think Coach Kelly's a good person, so I just wanted to play here in Gainesville.
Yeah, basically what Larry said. Kelly, she cares about you, not just as a basketball player, but as a person. And I trusted her vision in myself and what she wants as a program.
Even though she couldn't score on you, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's one of the things that Coach Finley and just watching the program as a whole, you guys really have a family atmosphere. You really lean on one another. You kind of play a brand of basketball that I think is fun to watch because everybody can kind of hunt their own shot and you have the freedom of movement. And I mean, what does that mean? You know, because I've heard Coach Kelly a million times say there's really not a bad shot in our program. I mean, what does that do for you as you guys grow into your offensive role? What does that mean that you don't have to look over your shoulder when you shoot the ball and go get a shot and things like that? You know, what kind of confidence does that give you knowing that she's like, hey, you know, we off and running and we don't want to stall the ball and we want you get into the cup, either getting fouled or, you know, really attacking offensively. So now as you guys expand your role, I mean, does that really give you a lot of confidence, you know, to continue on?
I would say, yeah, for sure. Like, it gives us a lot of room to be creative, do what we do. You don't have to, like you said, look over our shoulder and worry about if that's a bad shot that we took. Like, she gives us a lot of freedom within our offense.
Yeah, I would say the same. Just being like, it only boosts your confidence to know like your coach is okay with the shot that you take, and like whatever the shot is, like we're going to live with it at the end of the day.
All right. Rob, you got anything? I know you follow Coach Harris at Auburn, and we think a lot of Coach Harris as well in the Auburn program. And, you know, Florida had a tough game with Auburn, you know, went back and forth. But, I mean, I know you follow the SEC, know the history and what, you know, you've admired what Coach Kelly Ray Finley is building as well. You got a question for the lady?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got 2 boys and 2 girls. And I will say watching when my daughter played basketball, it's a more pure form of the game. I mean, it's not all about dunking and all that stuff. It is X's and O's. And back when I was at Auburn, Joe Champy was the coach, women's coach at Auburn. And Auburn went to the national championship game 3 years in a row and lost all 3 of them. But they got there. But damn, watching women's basketball, it's a lot of fun. How often do y'all compete against the boys? I mean, I'm sure growing up, I don't know if y'all have brothers, whatever, but I just think that it helps both people because it toughens you up, but also y'all play a lot more X's and O's. There's a lot more strategy. And, hell, you're at a great school. You graduate with a degree from the University of Florida. Whether you go to the WNBA or whatever, you are set for life because people are going to know that you worked your ass off for 4 or 5 years in college. And the good thing is you can keep a women's team together for 4 or 5 years. It's almost unheard of among the men. So it's fun watching y'all, but kind of talk about that. And this is fun having y'all on here.
Can you repeat the question for us? Sorry.
Okay. Well, really, how often do y'all play against the boys? I mean, do y'all compete against them? And growing up, did you do a lot of that playing? Because I would think it would make both of y'all better.
Yeah, we compete against the boys every day in practice, and being from County, I live in the rec, so just being able to play against the boys, I feel like that's made me better. And I've learned to love the practice players because they only gonna make me better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up playing with boys. I started playing basketball with boys. I have a lot of boy cousins, so I was always outside playing basketball. So yeah, it's nothing new to us.
Yeah. How many shots a day do you take in practice, both of y'all?
I don't really put a count.
A lot.
I mean, I'd say at least 10, maybe for sure. Yeah.
Like in
But I
live
mean,
play?
Live play?
yeah, well, live play, but I mean, how many do you put up, as far as like
I'm talking about just free throw shooting and practice like that.
Oh, it's a lot of shots. Like we do a lot of shooting drills. And
Yeah. See,
and I think
that's why it's fun to
and
watch.
to piggyback on Rob, you guys are kind of at a point now where I think the program is going in the right direction. Everything's positive, but you're also the time where the women's game is growing. It's as popular as it's ever been, and you guys are, like I said, you're fun to watch. I think you have put the program in a place where not only the SEC is taking notice, but you all have had some quality wins. You had the big win in the Jumpman Invitational against Michigan on national TV. You've had some other wins. This year you're going to be part of the SEC ACC Challenge, but just where the women's game has gone, even Gerard, now since you started school and to now, I mean, how exciting is that where the women's game has grown to, and for this program to be on the doorstep of adding their name to one of the top teams in the country?
It's very exciting. I think it's good that the women's game is finally getting the recognition that it deserves. I feel like the talent has always been there. It's just good to see other people can see that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the same, just being able to be in the spotlight now, especially playing at one of the best conferences and the best schools, and just being able to capitalize off of the platform that we have.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the things that, now with the game and it growing, you all have definitely put yourselves in a position to really grow this thing and be a part of history. I mean, that's the big thing. But, speaking about the team, kind of let the people know where you are as a team. Talk about the roster. I know we mentioned Liv McGill and Miara, but there's also a lot of other people, unsung heroes, Rashea Kyle coming back from injury. But just speak to the entire roster and where you think everybody can kind of fit in.
I would say that we are very versatile, a lot of positionless basketball. I think we're very connected on the court. Felt really good with our scrimmage this weekend, so we're just ready for everyone else to see.
Any names that you think people need to look out for? I mean, obviously we're going to talk about Liv and Miara and obviously you two, and then a lot of people know Shay. It's hard to miss Shay at 6'6", but anybody else on the team that you want to shout out that's just really been looking good in practice, had a good scrimmage, that kind of thing?
I would say Alexia Gassett. She has a really good motor. She's going to be good for us on the boards. So I would say her.
And Alexia Gassett came from
Louisville,
right? And she's from a good state too. What state she played high school ball in? That's a good state. They got some ballers in Ohio, So, Layla, anybody?
I would say everybody. I mean, everybody's been doing like just filling in new roles, just doing new things. So,
sounds good. Gentlemen, you got anything else before we kind of hit them with the quick hitters? Anybody?
What was Media Day like? Just what is the? Have either one of y'all been to Media Day before? Or was this the first time?
It was the first time.
Okay, so, and just to be picked out of, I mean, because if y'all weren't good, y'all wouldn't have been selected to be there. But so really, it's the best of every team goes there to represent. What was that like? Just mingling and also with the coaches that are there. What just did you have any time to make any relationships or get to know anybody better than you did and did you find out anything that you didn't know about somebody maybe you competed against?
And I just think that the overall experience, like you said, like it's like one of a kind. Like we were blessed to be picked to get there, and yeah, we just enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah, I would say the same. Just being able to represent our program and talk about like the things that we're building here and what Kelly and I and the team is building. So I think that was just a great opportunity to talk about Florida women's basketball.
What does Kim Mulkey wear to a Media Day?
We got there pretty early, so
okay.
We
Yeah,
didn't
they were the first. They were the first team.
Okay.
So you didn't even see. Did you even see LSU?
No, we didn't.
Okay. Yeah. I figured she might come dressed as a peacock or something to media day.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold my breath on that since I might have to see her at SEC tournament or something.
Yeah.
But
a
Rob, you
good-looking
got any?
peacock. Give it credit.
Rob, you got anything?
Well, I got to ask y'all your preseason games before you get into the SEC. Do you like playing a lot of really difficult teams? Because I think if you're a runner, you want to do a lot of hill work to get ready for the state championship if you're a cross-country runner. If you don't, you will be in shock when you get there. So talk about the preparation and then the grind of the season. But you know it when you sign up for SEC basketball, what it's going to be like, don't you?
Yes. Yeah. I would say that we have full trust in our coaching staff that they're gonna put us against opponents that's gonna prepare us for conference.
Yeah, good.
I would say the same. I mean, I feel like we prepare for any game, like no matter the level, major, whatever it is. And I think our coaching staff prepares the schedule for us to be ready for SEC play.
Yeah. And what's the kind of the locker room motto after a tough loss? How long do you stay? You don't let it beat you 2 games in a row. But what does Kelly Ray Finley talk about? I know Buddy Martin has talked a lot about her. Really likes her as a coach.
I don't think Kelly's like really big on like sobbing and like on losses. Like we just figure out like how can we get better for the next game because we play like in the next 2 to 3 days. So we just have to figure out how to capitalize on the loss and be better ready for the next game.
Yeah.
And before we, like I said, one more question. What is it like to have, and we talk about the coaches, you guys have a great coaching staff, but you also have an Olympian, WNBA All-Star, Ryan Howard, who was added to the staff last year. Just her role and having that kind of liaison to the next level and, not only in the WNBA, but internationally, what has she meant to the staff? And just, I mean, I know she's kind of quiet too, but I know you'll see her whispering little things in you guys' ear during the game and in practice. I mean, what is her message to you guys on a consistent basis, to help you get better?
There's not always a consistent message. It's always just being able to watch her show up and just be consistent and just going and playing at the next level. Or for somebody like me who wants to play at the next level, it's always great to have somebody like that in your ear, knowing that she's been there and knows what it takes to play at the SEC. So I just know, like, to watch her is always something good that's going to come out of it.
And for you, Gerard?
Pretty much the same thing that Larry said. She's played in the SEC. She has the experience. So just her putting in her little tidbits to us, that really helps us.
All right. So with that, we'll let you guys go. But before you go, a little quick hitters. Favorite food?
Chipotle.
Chipotle.
From Louisiana, that's your favorite food is Chipotle?
Come on, boudin balls.
Yeah, gumbo, anything.
You know a little song. Now I'm going to go rice and gravy then.
Okay, all right. And then somebody wanted to ask me, maybe I'll go with you. I got a guy from Maryland. PG County food better or Alachua County food?
PG County. We got options.
PG County?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Messiest teammate?
We all clean.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We don't have those problems.
Okay. All right. Okay. If you know how baseball players have a walkout song, if you had a highlight tape of your best, what would it be? What would your song be?
I'm doing Wipe Me Down, the remix.
Okay. Louisiana flavor,
I'm gonna do Run This Town.
Okay. Run This Town. Okay. Yeah. Favorite NBA, WNBA player?
I would say Paul George.
Okay.
I don't really have a favorite, but I do like to watch Steph Curry.
Okay. WNBA player?
Ryan Howard.
Yeah, I'm going Ryan.
Good answer. So, dream job after if you don't make obviously professional basketball is going to end no matter what, dream job.
have my own senior services facility.
Okay.
Something to do with animals. I'm not sure what, but yeah, in that field.
All right. And what do you want to leave Gator fans with going into the 2024 season?
Go Gators! Come out and support us this season.
Come through. We're ready to see y'all.
All right. And I think one of the cool thing, you guys are going to have the Miami game is actually the same day as the LSU football game. So we will definitely encourage people to come out. Prior to that, it'll be before the LSU game, and pack the house and definitely support you guys. So we'll do our best, and really appreciate you guys coming on. Absolutely. Great to have you, and
thank you.
Looking forward to a great season.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Thank y'all for coming on.
Go Gators.
Man, being a student athlete at Florida, I mean, I was trying to say, you're going to get your degree from this place. It's going to open a lot of doors.
Yeah, absolutely.
And being an athlete, they're going to know you know how to work.
Right. Well, and I think, we kind of, have gotten to the point where at the University of Florida, they call it the everything school. And, I think all the sports programs are headed in the right direction in one way, shape, or form. And, even though football is in that, kind of, I guess, in between stage of what may happen. It's, it's one of those things where you look at all the programs, and we'll do our best to try to get some of those other sports on as well. Do a little tennis, softball, some of those folks. And I mean, softball is going to be unbelievable this year. I mean, they got a good problem to have, which is too much talent. So, I think with that, it's just, it's the University of Florida. So
all I know is you need to get send Jariah a Chipotle gift card for her. Be indebted to you forever.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. But so back to football, guys. I mean, we not just Florida, not just Kentucky, but I really saw a Tennessee football team that I didn't think was that good. And yet they're right in the thick of things. And I mean, one loss and a great win against, Alabama is not the Alabama old, but they're still not a bad football team. And to be able to hang in there and really steal what I think was a second win in a row. Are we upon a league that, because of the transfer portal, and we see Vanderbilt is even ranked, and we'll see kind of how that ends up. I mean, they got Texas coming to Nashville this weekend. But are we going to start to see almost like NFL type parity with some of these things? Or once we get into playoff, and I know they had the playoff ranking show tonight, are we going to start to see, some parity like an NFL level? Or do you think the cream will still kind of rise to the top and you're going to have 2 to 3 teams that are really capable of winning it all? Or could this be the year, or going into next year, where number 12 does knock off what I guess is number 6, and then going forward they even maybe somebody can make a historic run to the national title game or even win it? I mean, is that something that the transfer portal has presented now, or is just this a one-off, you think?
No, I think it's the start of the new reality, so to speak. But I think it's both that you're going to have NFL type parity, but the cream is also going to rise to the top. I mean, you're going to have a lot more teams that might make the playoffs, but I think at the end, the Final Four are still going to be familiar names that you see all the time. One Mason again, but one snuck in there before, occasionally,
right?
Cincinnati or TCU kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think the superpowers are going to be the superpowers. So those top 4 or 5 are going to remain the same. But below that, there are a lot more teams that I think will qualify in that 10 to 20, 10 to 30 range, which is more wide open than it's ever been. And I'm still thinking we're just living in a parallel universe where Vandy is they're a team to fear.
Right. Well, I think that Alabama that win. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see the shelf life on that win. If that bottle ages as well as some people think it might. I mean, I know you have to really applaud Clark Lee, and I know the addition of Jerry Kill. I mean, I'm a big Jerry Kill guy. I think he's one of the best football coaches in the country. He made New Mexico State a winner. I mean, he's pretty much won. He's like Brian Kelly. As much as I'm not necessarily a Brian Kelly fan, you have to applaud the work that Brian Kelly has really done at every single school he's been at. Same thing with Jerry Keel. He just does it with a little bit more personality than Brian Kelly. But I mean, Rob, you've seen this thing evolve as well. Is this something that you're looking at? I know Auburn has its issues, but right now they're sitting 1 or 2 in the 25 rankings, recruiting, doing some things, starting to get the NIL rolling. But can you build a team in a year, and with guys coming and going and scattering, is there going to be longevity in parity, or is just, once again, like I asked Mr. Whitley, is it a one-off?
I think what we're seeing right now is just the curve, the free market, the curve working its way through this. Ole Miss is the portal school, like Mississippi State and some other schools in the mid and late 90s were with junior college. It's great. Well, come January, after the last whistle is blown on Ole Miss football, they're going to lose 41 players. Okay? You cannot build long-term a football program out of the portal. And you damn sure can't do it on the offensive line. How did Auburn and Florida get to where they are right now? It took a lot of dumbasses collectively to get them there. I mean, that's just what you have to admit. Terrible decisions. Athletic directors that don't know come here from Sikkim. But if you go back and look at the history of college football, this goes back to November 6th, 1869. Rutgers 6, Princeton 4. There were 25 players on each side of the line of scrimmage. It was rugby, okay? But the 15 programs, the winningest programs in the history of college football, they were the top programs pretty much in the 70s, the 80s. There's years when they're out, but David's right. They will not allow themselves to lose their seat at the table. I mean, how good would Florida be if DJ Lagway was a third-year player with this schedule? I mean, Auburn, if you beat Auburn right now, put an asterisk by it. It's like beating a man up in a hospital bed. I've never seen a more pathetic roster, more depleted than what I see out of Auburn. I mean, they've got one player I can think of that could start for the top half SEC schools, and maybe he would start. That's Jarquez Hunter, the running back. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a world. David's right. We're just going through a cycle right now. Auburn's recruiting well. They got third, fourth, whatever. Florida is what's Florida now, in the 30s in recruiting?
Yeah,
that's not supposed
right?
to happen.
Right now, I think it's in the 50s.
That's not supposed to happen. And you stopped the Kentucky scourge. No, you didn't lose. You pounded them the other day. Maybe, I don't know. These last 5 games, I'm going to predict right now. I'll buy you both. Y'all don't have Crystals down there, those great hamburgers in Gainesville.
We got Crystals.
Oh,
you got Crystals? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Right down the street.
I'll buy you both. I'll buy you both a steamer pack, which is like 24 of them. If I'm wrong, I predict Florida wins 2 of the last 5 games. I'm going to make that prediction.
Yeah. Well, I
really do.
I have no doubt they'll win one of the last 5. The last one, anyway. At least
How much would that mean to Florida, David, if the Gators go to Tallahassee and just Gordon Soley? Oh, here's a vertical suplex. The Gators have got the Knowles and a chokehold. What would that do to the Florida fan base? 49-0.
Even though FSU is down, it wouldn't matter. There would be a lot of catharsis in that because FSU has whooped up on them.
Yeah,
when Florida's been down.
Yes,
that's true. And Frank, if they are in that, I think if Billy wins one of the next 4, he's okay. He's because if you're not going to fire a guy who beats Georgia, Florida coach, or goes to Austin and wins there, or beats what will probably be a top 5 LSU team here. So he wins any of those, he's okay. And then comes Ole Miss. and they're up and down. But if he just wins one of those games, especially if he beat LSU, you're sure not going to And everybody has had Lane fever, for the last 2 months around here. That would cool that off, because Florida's not going to hire the guy to replace the guy who just fired. They just fired. If Billy beats Lane. So I mean, if he can just go 1 for 4 in that murderer's row, I think he's safe. And then it's just a matter of taking care of business in Tallahassee. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, somebody asked me the question, and it's an interesting question. When we were on here 2-3 weeks ago, Lane was hot as a firecracker, and I mean, is the shine wearing off? If Billy beats him, does the shine wear completely off? Or do the pundits say, or the people that are really, on the quote unquote Lane train, well, if he was at Florida, look what he might be able to do. Is that a saving grace? Or, because it's, I picked them to beat Ole Miss at the beginning of the season. I thought that would be one of the 7 wins that I thought Napier would get. And the team as a whole. And so now we're at the point where it's a situation where, even if they decide to go in a different direction, which I'm not saying they are, like I said, I've already gone out on there. I said Napier will be the football coach in 2025, but is the shine kind of starting to wear off, and especially if Florida beats them when they visit Gainesville later in November. But before you answer, let's talk about Meldon Law, the only official law firm of the Florida Gators. Meldon Law, they won't back down. And like I told folks, they've done a lot of good things. Talk about the truck for the band to carry their equipment, but they also, you guys need to really follow them on Instagram and Facebook. They give away a lot of great experiences to Florida fans as well as the people of Gainesville. Different plays, a lot of options. I know they gave away a great VIP package to next week's game in Jacksonville, but most importantly, it's a great law firm. And if you need some legal help and they don't have the answer, they can point you in the right direction to somebody who will. Actually, they helped me with some estate planning. So they don't do that, but they were able to give me a number to a gentleman that was able to help me with that. So Meldon Law, we won't back down. So with that, Rob, once again, the question is will the luster come off of Lane, or is he still the hot guy because people feel like, well, if he has Florida's resources, what could he possibly, there could be a situation where if he has everything, he's the man.
Well, you can have resources and not win. I mean, Hugh Freeze has unlimited resources at Auburn. Lane Kiffin, remember, 3-20 as a head coach against teams that would win at least 9 games or more in a season. 3-20. And y'all remember Gary Barnett when he was a hot item. Remember PJ Fleck, Telly Savalas' double, coach at Minnesota 5 years ago. Man, he was hot. He was hotter than, oh, man, he was hotter than
Cajun fish grease. We just had somebody on from Louisiana.
Yeah. Remember that movie Trading Places when Dan Aykroyd, Winthorpe tried to pawn his watch off, and Bo Diddley goes, man, that watch is so hot, burning my fingers. How much for the gun?
That movie. Right.
I'm just going to say, I think Lane Kiffin's a hell of a coach. But because in January he's going to lose 41 guys. You've got to be careful about using a Band-Aid where you need to do surgery. I mean, that's the problem. And Florida is a program that can do it with high school. I mean, they've got their quarterback, and I think the luster, it's not that Lane's not a good coach. I just think he's a perfect fit for Ole Miss because they're not like Florida fans and Auburn fans and Alabama and Georgia and LSU. They hadn't won a national championship in over 60 years. So, yeah, I think, hey, if Ole Miss comes to the Swamp and the Gators beat them, I don't think you'll hear Kiffin's name anymore. Not among Florida fans.
that would make them get at least 3 losses. That's assuming they don't lose between now and then.
Yeah.
And so,
still got Georgia.
Yeah. And so that may well be, they look like a 4-loss team now, 3-4. And that has to be considered a disappointing season, considering what people were looking at 2 months ago.
Absolutely.
And so, I mean, yeah, the Lane pixie dust won't quite be. I mean, a lot of people will still be pro Lane, and not without reason. I mean, as Rob said, I mean, he's a hell of a coach, and he would bring a lot of pizzazz and jazz and get people excited. And someone said, like, he is sort of like the modern day Spurrier, and that he says what he wants to, and then worry about it, and that has a lot of appeal to Florida fans and the offense to all that. So he would still have a lot of attraction. But 6 weeks ago, you're thinking, oh, he had the savior thing. Like, if you're designing the guys the dream guys that would come in, it would be, if you get Dan Lanning, or somehow convince Steve Sarkisian to get here, or Lane Kiffin. Now he's on that second level, I think, and I don't think the second level is the kind of guy that they're going to throw Billy over for at this point.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. I think that's where the pool is shrinking, and now it looks like that Napier. I mean, I finally met him, so to speak. We finally had a conversation of sorts after the game on Saturday night, and I can see why people like him. I mean, I got to give him credit for that. I mean, he was engaging. Obviously after 48-20 win, you're a lot more approachable then. But to just I kind of saw where if he gets a high school kid around and things like that, why Florida is always at least on the list for folks. I mean, I got to give him credit for that. He kills me with some of the head scratching decisions, but those are starting to be minimalized a little bit. I mean, it was a couple of Tennessee, but really Kentucky. I agree with what Shane and others have said. Probably his best game he's called in quite some time, and really kind of rode his defense, but still kind of kept the pedal on. I mean, that for all the people that say scared money doesn't make money, I mean, that third down fade route in the fourth quarter that tacked on that last offensive touchdown. I mean, that's what you're talking about. So, I mean, you got to give him credit where credit is due. You just hope you see it on more of a consistent basis. So, into the bye week, and then we'll let you guys go. If you're Florida, and Rob, I know you just, sick with your Auburn Tigers, so we'll treat you like a Florida fan.
Like a leper.
If you're Florida, Rob, the off week, and you got Georgia staring you in the face. Obviously, you want to get healthy, get as many bodies and as much depth as you possibly can. But from what you've seen, and I know you follow the Gator, you follow all the SEC teams, what's the one thing that you want to get out of this bye week outside of the norm, getting healthy and things like that, but from a schematic or just flat out getting after it standpoint, what does Florida need to do, not to just beat Georgia, but to continue to improve going forward?
Get out of town and go to the beach a couple of days. Go fishing. Have a bonfire on the beach. Seriously. Okay. Then come back and toughen up that offensive line. When things aren't going your way, double dare dog down, or whatever you call it, and make that running game tougher. I mean, because this is the line of scrimmage league, and now it's going to go to the teams that are the toughest that are going to win these last games. I mean, we got a lot of football left to be played, and we forgot to mention Ole Miss has to play at Arkansas. And yeah, I'm kidding about Auburn. I mean, Auburn is they just find ways to lose, but we don't have a quarterback. You can't do it. The Gators are similar, but they do have a quarterback. They had a good one in Graham Mertz. And so the next couple of weeks in the bye week, I'd just be working on developing rhythm and tempo with DJ Lagway, his receivers, the offensive line. When you're switching quarterbacks during a game, it's confusing to the offensive lineman because the cadence changes. And so now it's going to be DJ Lagway's voice that they're going to be hearing. And I think Billy Napier, you're right. He's a very engaging guy. His whole story is why everybody likes him. His father coached in a wheelchair. I mean, that's dedication. Mm-hmm. Family, the guy loves his family. I have a feeling these players love him too. But then you look at the fan base. We're in a world when a coach makes $7 or $8 million, $10 million a year. We want to win every game. We want that return on investment. So Florida, get away. Don't listen to all the love and the praise you're getting for winning 3 of your last 4. Could have won. Could be on a 4-game winning streak.
Probably be ranked.
Yeah, you probably be ranked. So think about, guys, we are this close. So just get away and kind of play within yourselves, and you got to turn off the social media. You have the players do.
Mr. Whitley?
Well, like Rob said, they got to keep it is a line of scrimmage league, and you've seen the last two weeks their line of scrimmage has been respectable and almost good at times, which we haven't been able to say often this week. It's funny. I think the best week they've had this entire season was the first open week, because whatever they did, especially on defense,
right.
They haven't been the same since. So if they can make that same leap this open week than the last open week, whatever they did that first thing, do it again.
Do it again. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I think you're both correct. Stick to the script, and Coach Napier stated that whatever they did in the off week, they found that works for them. So, I'm sure they'll continue to do put the ball down, obviously still making an effort to stay healthy, but those that can be out there, really find out, continue to let your young guys get better, but, take some time off, but then stick to the script, get back to it, and go from there. And with that, Mr. Whitley, you got an off week. So what do you have planned? I know you got to write something. What are you writing in the off week? And then what are you going to do with your free Saturday?
Yeah. That answer to number one, I don't know. I'm thinking, good God. Got to write something. Right. What can you write about a team that's not playing again?
Right.
But, we'll come up with something. But no big plans. Wish I had the NIL money to hop in my my Jaguar and take off to the beach. But just hanging out. Actually, it's always nice in a way just not to go to a game.
Right.
Weekend and just flip on the TV if you want. If not, that's fine. And
I got
about a list as long of honeydew things around the house.
I was gonna say, and you got kids at home, so you might have homework and some of that stuff going on too. Checking homework and that kind of thing. Rob, who you got on the show tomorrow night?
Got to be fun, man. We got Brian Matthews, AuburnSports.com. I mean, he's tough. He's tough on the Auburn, knows his stuff. Jordan Davis Hill, 24/7 Sports, covers Georgia. Dudley Dawson, Hogville.net, Hogs. Vince Ferrara up in Knoxville, The Hill.
That's my guy.
Yeah, Vince is cool. And then we'll cover all 16 teams. That's our motto every day. You're going to touch on them. Brendan and I have a lot going on, but I'd like to get those guys engaged. And I'll say this too, that this season, every weekend, it's like going into the grocery store and you don't get a shopping cart. You don't even get the small little thing. Next thing you know, you look like a juggling act trying to get all the stuff that you take out. That's every football weekend on TV. Where do you start? There's so damn many good games, and too much is never enough. That's all I'll say.
All righty. He's Rob Brown of SEC Sidelines, David Whitley of the Gainesville Sun. I'm your host, Loren Meadows, on Tell It Like It Is Tuesday on the Buddy Martin Show. Special thanks to our executive producer, Brendan Martin, and also wonderful thanks to Gerard Warren and Layla Reynolds of the Florida women's basketball team. Really enjoyed them. Great show tonight, gentlemen, and have a good evening.
You too. Love being on, always.